I love seeing new faces. My name is Jasmin and I'm the run coach at mommysmarathon.com. So I'm passionate about helping busy moms and working women build training schedules that fit into their lives and that are truly life enhancing. I train primarily girls for half marathons and marathons. So go ahead, Lauren, you want to take it away next?
Yes, and I am also a running coach in New Jersey. I train working busy professionals, also busy moms, and I really specialize in that marathon, half marathon as well. And I love just getting, runners together and being able to hit their milestones out of the ballpark, especially 2016, guys. This is our year. And I'm totally jealous for all you guys tuning in on the audio and you're doing your runs right now. I'm a little bit jealous, just gonna put that out there. But so if you guys find value to this webinar, we teamed up and we definitely want to provide a lot of value to you guys. So ask any questions that you might have as we go along. All you, Jenna.
Yay! And I'm going to start off our training this morning as well. But for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Jenna Corelli, and you can find me online at jennacorelli.com. I also put Jasmin's link in the chat feature, so you can find her website, and I'll put my own as well. And Lauren, if you want to put yours in, then you guys know where to find us on the internet. But I'm a personal trainer, a CrossFit coach, and a fitness nutrition specialist, and I really work with people on reaching their body composition goals through realistic means. So we incorporate our nutrition into our current lifestyles rather than rearranging our lifestyle and the things that we love to do on a daily basis in order to reach nutritional ideals. So, as you know, as a runner, fitness and nutrition combined need to be your focus when you're planning for a race, right? It's important, though, to address the big picture first. If you do so, you're going to have a functional diet and a plan of action leading up to race day, and then you can adjust all the minor details along the way to tweak your plan in order to be successful on race day and reach your goals. As a runner, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, awesome. As a runner, we're all too familiar with the training aspect of preparing for a race. The short repeats, the intervals, the hill sprints, and then the ancillary training work like strength, stretching, and drills. However, most of us forget to plan for the nutrition aspect of our training. And this is really the first step in addressing the big picture when we're considering signing up for a race or starting a training plan. Eating the right amounts of protein, carbohydrates, and fats in that order makes an important difference in the journey to getting leaner and lighter for race day. So today, I'm actually going to start us off not talking about carbs. We're going to talk about protein and then a little bit about electrolytes so that you know how to properly stay hydrated and you don't lose sodium and potassium during your races or your training runs. So feel free to take notes. I am going to throw out a little bit of numbers here for you, but it'll be helpful in helping you determine how much of each nutrient you should be getting. So I want to focus on protein first, and I recommend 0.82 grams to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Okay? Protein not only provides the building blocks for muscle growth, but it also supplies the amino acids that are needed to reduce muscle breakdown from our runs. So protein builds new muscle and saves existing muscle from being lost. Thank you, Jasmin. Both of these functions are very important for runners in order to maximize your muscle and minimize fat, right? Because we want to be lean and light for race day. It's also important to get good protein sources. These can include plant-based sources or meat-based sources. But when considering the protein sources that you get in your diet to help fuel your training runs, you need to understand that meat-based proteins are going to be slightly more difficult for the body to break down than the plant-based proteins because they have more amino acids in them that then need to be divided up in the body. So meat-based protein is going to take up a little bit more energy than plant-based protein in your diet. So that's something to consider when you're planning on what to eat before you go out for your training run. And just a list of some plant-based proteins: lentils, seeds like hemp, chia, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, flax, pumpkin seeds, nuts, quinoa, nutritional yeast, beans. These are all some plant-based sources that you can incorporate into your diet. And we're talking long-term, like even the months leading up to your race day. That's the kind of training that we're discussing right now. Thank you, Jasmine. Guys, take a look at the chat feature here because we have a note taker and she's helping us out with all of everything that we're saying here, which is great. So that was the protein aspect. If anybody has any questions, feel free to add that in the chat. I want to talk very quickly about electrolytes as well, because chloride, potassium, and sodium are major electrolytes, which are minerals in our blood, our urine, and our bodily fluids that contain an electric charge and really affect the amount of water in our body and the acidity of our blood as well as muscle function. So when you sweat, you actually lose electrolytes. You lose sodium and you lose potassium. So it's very important to make sure that you're consuming enough of these nutrients, and these are vitamins and these are the mineral aspect of your nutrients, in order not to be dehydrated. And I'm going to list actually some food sources that you can use to replenish lost electrolytes that are not Gatorade or Powerade. So during your runs, which Lauren's actually going to talk about, you can definitely replenish these lost electrolytes with your Gatorade and Powerade because of you need those fast-acting nutrients to enter your system pretty quickly. But when you're training and for the months leading up to the race, you can use other food sources such as olives, tomatoes, lettuce, and celery, fresh or dried fruit like melons, raisins, and prunes, as well as bananas, sweet potatoes, green leafy vegetables like spinach or kale, and even peas, beans, and avocado. And guys, fun fact, avocado actually has more potassium than a banana. So if you focus on refueling those electrolytes and the sodium and potassium that you're losing during your training runs with these whole foods for the months leading up to your race, then that's going to, give you a more holistic approach to your food. Thank you so much. Another way to help retain fluid and maintain hydration before your training runs is to enjoy a salty meal beforehand, before you go out for your runs. So does anybody have any questions at all? Again, we want to focus on protein and we want to focus on replenishing lost electrolytes during our training. Sodium is actually found in a lot of food sources, so it's uncommon to develop a sodium deficiency. But if you're losing a lot of water, you're probably also losing a lot of sodium. And some of the symptoms that would be a sign of sodium loss would be muscle cramps, fatigue, dizziness, nausea, and the inability to concentrate. Recommendations for sodium intake, not specifically, just make sure that, one, you're drinking a lot of water, because no matter how much sodium you're getting in the diet, if you're drinking a lot of water or you're staying hydrated, you're not going to experience these cramping and fatiguing or dizziness symptoms during your training runs. And eating salty foods, and again, just keeping up with your potassium levels by eating those whole food sources that I listed and recommended, that's going to help with your sodium intake. Great question, though. That's all for the pre-race fuel.
Thanks, Jenna. That was so informative. And I think that there's a lot of misconceptions, especially in the running world. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about protein and you talked about what to kind of do pre-race and leading up to pre-race. I'm going to kind of focus on those sugary carbs that really get into your bloodstream quickly and give you energy. And you're going to use these when you're doing any type of endurance event. And guys, you don't necessarily have to be a runner or an endurance runner to use these strategies. If you're doing hard workouts, you can definitely use these same strategies. And there has been a ton of different research out there, research from Australia, China, and the UK. When they looked at marathon runners, they looked at triathletes, and they kind of did prospective studies and studied these endurance athletes. And they really found that all your different fast-acting carbohydrates, such as those gels that you see runners use, your solids, which are your gummies per se, and those liquids such as your Gatorades and your Powerades, they're all equally good at providing energy, guys. And they've actually shown that a lot of it is just personal preference. So my recommendation, especially as a marathon runner myself, is you want to try out all of these different gels, goos, etc. before race day. The biggest mistake that I see a lot of my runners make is they wait till race day to try a goo, and it sits in their belly and causes a lot of GI discomfort, cramping. So the biggest caveat, the takeaway point from my little talk that I'm going to give you is to try these things out. A lot of it is going to be trial and error, guys, because you don't want to go into race day and have, you know, that GI discomfort, bloating, etc. That's like the worst case scenario. But the biggest other question that is out there is how fast can you really absorb these energy sources? And there is a lot of complex calculations that really go into this, and all sources of carbohydrates, especially in any type of endurance race, they're limited by that same thing, right? How fast can your body actually absorb this energy and start to actually utilize it? And your simple sugars like your glucose and your fructose, we use them during race day because they get fast-tracked for absorption. So your body can actually absorb them faster. That's why we talk about your sugary carbs during race day. So your absorption rate, and basically your rate of absorption, it's around 1 gram of carbohydrate per minute. There have been a few studies reporting up to 1.5 grams, and they're kind of your glucose to fructose mixtures that you would use. But basically, for recommendation that I'm going to use today, I would say your rate of absorption is around 1 gram of carbohydrate per minute. So what does that mean? So if you're running for more than an hour, right, you can't absorb more than 60 grams of carbohydrates, right, if you do the math. And if you think about this, just if you take this into perspective, guys, those little cups that you get at your race stations, guys, they only have about 5 ounces of Gatorade and Powerade. So if you think about that, that's only going to utilize for like 3 miles, right? So you're going to technically hit the wall. So a lot of runners ask, well, hey, Lauren, how do I know when I'm going to hit the wall, right? Especially if I've never done a marathon, or especially maybe if I've never done a half marathon, how do I know? You want to start to fuel before you feel like you're hitting the wall. And how you're really going to know, guys, is you're going to slow down. You're going to really start to slow down, and you're going to start to feel it. So your pace is actually going to, well, increase. So if you're running 9-minute miles, you might see, well, now I'm running 9.5, now I'm running 10. So this is a good time where you really want to start fueling. And try a goo, try a gummy, try anything, you know, in that sense, and try them during your training runs, guys. Don't wait till race day to do this. And how much energy will you really need to finish an endurance event? It's a reasonable estimate, guys, if you're doing a marathon, that you might hit the wall per se at mile 20 of the race. So really, to prevent this, we need to really consume enough energy in the form of staying hydrated, like Jenna talked about, replenishing our electrolytes, and also upping our sugary carbs come race day. There's been a ton of different research on this, but I totally recommend maybe even fueling fairly early into your run. So I would say a general rule of thumb, guys, is 45 minutes into a run is when you want to start refueling. And you can jumpstart that, guys, by taking, 10 to 15, minutes before your race, having some simple carbs, because this will allow you some free carb per se absorption while you're running. And that definitely will help you prevent you from hitting the wall. And finally, don't forget to not take in too much sugar, because like I said, a lot of these gels and goos, guys, they have a ton of sugar in them. And for me, I actually have to water them down. So I will do half a goo with some water. And then, 6 miles into another, 6 miles later, I will do the other half of the goo. So knowing what works well for you, knowing what works well for your body. Thanks, Jazz, for taking this. Really appreciate it. That will definitely help you avoid hitting the wall. So that is my little tidbit. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to chat it up in the chat box or take yourself off of mute. That's it.
Love it. Awesome job, ladies. The thing I love that we're just hearing over and over throughout this thing is we're kind of told as runners that we need to be kind of obsessed with carbs. And I'm not denying the importance of carbs. They are essential for training. But we cannot forget the protein piece as it falls into each phase of our training. And as you can see, it's super important for the beginning stages of our training. in the midst of our training, but really specifically after our training, it's super duper important to make sure we're fueling with carbs, but also with protein. The main focus with your post race, your post long run, your post workout refuel is definitely timing. A lot of you might be familiar with the kind of general rule of thumb that there are 2 timing windows that you need to make sure you're fueling with. And we're going to kind of break through those today. And we're going to talk about some foods that are going to really work to help you make sure that you are getting the proper ratios of carbohydrates to proteins and that you are refueling properly. One thing I see a lot of times with runners is they take their during workout or during race strategy for fueling, that high quick carbs, and they just apply it to the refuel after. And that's just really not necessary. There's definitely a better approach we can take, and we can focus more on the whole food nutrition as our post-race refuel to really help us. So let's dive into that. Let's talk about those 2 timing windows and some different foods that you can use to help you refuel after your long run, after your race, after your workout. So as a general rule of thumb, your first nutrition window is within 30 minutes of your workout or your race. So you should be trying to consume 100 to 300 calories within that 30 minutes of your race. The ratio of carbohydrates to protein should be about a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 ratio. So that means grams of carbs should be 3 times whatever your grams of protein are. So immediately after, it's very important that we're getting those good whole food carbs. But like I said, I am super passionate, I think these girls are as well, is that whole foods place. Yes, there's a time to eat, bagels and bread, but there's a lot of great food sources that are high in carbs and are also high in a lot of other nutrition, like the potassium, the folic acid, things that are also being drained from our bodies while we are racing. So some great examples of a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 ratio that are whole foods are having a banana with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, a half cup of plain yogurt, and a cup of some mixed fruit. Chocolate milk is actually a really great fuel. You'll see that a lot of times after races, which is really great. You guys who might be familiar with me know that maybe I don't necessarily preach a dairy lifestyle, but this is one case where you cannot argue the literally perfect ratio that chocolate milk gives for a runner after a race or a long run. You can also do a medium sweet potato, which is, again, that great source of potassium with a little stick of some clean beef jerky. You can do a medium apple with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. You can also do a fried egg with some spinach and a little serving of fruit. Again, really great whole foods. One thing that some people do struggle with that 30-minute window is it's really hard for some people to eat something like that immediately after your workout. And I totally get that. There's some of us who have maybe a more sensitive stomach, or just, you don't really have an appetite after you kind of exhausted or push yourself to a new body, or a new way. So you can definitely refuel yourself with a very clean protein powder. I very much stress the importance of a clean protein powder to my athletes. Most of my athletes use Shakeology as their refuel. It's very clean, is really high in that folic acid and nutrient count, as well as it's a pretty good balance of the carbohydrates and the protein. So that's something to definitely consider for your 30-minute window refuel. Also, if you have a hard time eating something, just drinking something quickly can be really, really helpful. Energy or nutrition bars can be really good as well, something that's super quick. So the second window for recovery is you need to be getting in that kind of meal within 1 to 3 hours of your race, long run, or workout. So we needed something kind of quick that was about 100 to 300 calories with that 3-to-1, 4-to-1 ratio of carbohydrates to protein. But now we need to really make sure we're getting kind of that second refuel. This can look a little bit more like a meal, but doesn't have to be really heavy. As like I said, if you do have that hard time putting down the food after your run, but it's, again, really important that we're really focusing on the protein, especially in that second window, to refuel the muscles to become healthier and stronger and not be depleted after our run. So again, that protein shake with a light salad can look really great after your run. You can also do a really clean protein bar. You can do some grilled chicken with a salad with some avocado and salsa. You can also do a steak salad. Again, you're getting that really good, clean, whole food protein, but then you're also getting the leafy carbs and the fiber as well for your diet. You can do a vegetable omelet with some fruit. And one of my personal favorites is a big old chili meal. You're getting that really good protein when you throw in the beans. I like to throw quinoa and tons of vegetables in my chili, and it's just really great for after your for that 1 to 3 hour window after your races. So I think we have a couple questions here. I see this one. It says, how can folic acid help with refueling, and how is it important when it comes to being important for your nutrients? I definitely want to pass that over to Jenna to answer. She is truly the folic acid queen, and especially being pregnant and knowing the importance of that, she has some really good insights there. So you want to go ahead and answer that question, Jenna?
Sure. Honestly, folic acid is what tied me to Shakeology for my pregnancy in the first place, because my doctor told me immediately I needed to increase my folic acid with a supplement. And I looked at the nutrition label of my Shakeology, and I noticed it actually has 600 grams of folic acid in it, which is amazing. And this is just honestly a benefit that supports your immune system and helps you stay healthy and strong. It's a vitamin and a mineral, which as we know, our macronutrients, our protein, carbohydrates, and fat are the essential nutrients our body needs on a day-to-day basis. And our vitamins and minerals are less essential than the macronutrients. So it's not something that is a main focus that you should be really considering. But as a supplement to protein, carbohydrates, and fat, folic acid is going to help boost your immune system and keep it strong for especially you runners out there, just keeping bone health in general, keeping you strong for your racing and less fatigued. But the main focus should be on the protein, carbohydrates, and fat.
Great answer to your question. Awesome. Love it. So we kind of talked about the importance of timing that nutrition. We talked about after the importance of that 3-to-1 ratio immediately after. So really making sure you're getting those carbs, but you can definitely get them from whole foods. And also just the importance of after you've depleted your body's going to need the fiber. It's going to need folic acid alongside that protein and carbohydrates. So we listed a lot of different quick ways that you can get that. And as you may know, and we've talked about through this webinar, we are super passionate about the importance of Shakeology, which can really help in most any of those areas. So we all are runners, or Jenna here is a runner, but is also pregnant, but is super passionate about that refuel. And we want to make sure that you guys are knowing all the proper ways to refuel, and also want to make sure we can give you the resources to help you as well. So we hope that you found the different foods helpful as well. But we also want to offer a special thank you to you for hopping on the webinar, for taking time to listen and ask questions and kind of support you as you are hoping to apply these things to your daily life. The person who invited you here wants to offer you the ability to buy Shakeology from them within the next 24 hours. As you've seen by each of our profiles on Instagram, and you've heard us talk about, this is really one of the most effective ways to get quick refuel for your body. That's not going to be super heavy on your stomach. For those of you who have a hard time refueling immediately after your workout, that's going to give you all the essential things that you need immediately after workout. We know the protein and carbs are important, which are included in that, but even more that you're going to get from Shakeology is that the really good dense nutrients, as well as that fiber and folic acid piece. So if this is something that is interesting to you, we're actually going to offer an exclusive deal to you guys who are on the call and replay within 24 hours. We are going to give you guys we're going to send you a little cash thank you to you through PayPal as a thank you to you for giving it a try. On top of that, you're going to get some different recipes to try with it when it is sent to you, and you're going to get support from us for some of our favorite recipes as well as soon as you order. So if that sounds like something that is interesting to you, definitely reach out to the person who invited you. We will get you all set up, and we will send you your little cash thank you for tuning in and for taking the step to really enhance your racing fuel, because we know how important it is for us as runners. So any other questions we have from you guys? Anything that maybe was a new concept that you want some clarification on? I think one thing you really are learning here, that it's more than just focusing on carbs, but the importance of that protein piece is really essential for us as runners and something we forget a lot.
And also, guys, if you ever have any questions or any topics that you want us to discuss, I think this is fun. And I like that it's a Saturday morning, too. I think people are available in order to hop on and listen. So reach out to the person that contacted you and, give them a list of questions or some topics that you want us to discuss. I think this is something fun that we could do again.
Totally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think there might be one more question from Ashley. You tend not to be very hungry the day of a workout, but find that you are super hungry the days after. Is there a reason for this? Yeah, absolutely.
What time of the day does she work out?
Absolutely. And a lot of times, I think Jasmine kind of hit the nail on the head when she talked about that window with getting something in your body 30 minutes after a hard run or after a hard workout, and still utilizing that window within 2 hours to get some proteins in, to get some carbs. And Shakeology is a great way to do this, especially if you're working out early in the morning and then getting ready for work. I think all of us kind of utilize Shakeology for different reasons, but that's another resource for you. Usually in the afternoon or evening. Is that when?
Yeah,
sorry.
And Ashley, sorry, just to chime in, when you are preparing for your workout as well, it actually starts the day before. So fueling your body with carb sources and even protein sources the days leading up to your high training days will also help fuel your training. And honestly, personally, I can't eat much before I work out or do an intense training session either, because I have digestive issues and I can't work out or run on a full stomach. So that's completely fine. Nutrient timing isn't like the most important thing to consider. It's one of those like side factors that you consider aside from, protein, carbohydrates, and fat, and just getting the right balance of nutrients in the body. So that's okay if you're not feeling very hungry. Just make sure you're refueling after your run in order to properly get that muscle recovery and repair.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I know a lot of us have a hard time working on that full stomach. So it's like really important with that window afterwards to make sure we're fueling. So then the next day we're not like craving for nutrients. So super good question, Ashley. Thanks for asking that. Well, we are going to wrap this up. We want to keep it short and sweet for you guys. But again, this is something we would love to continue to do. So aside from, emailing us to get you hooked up with some Shakeology, definitely email us and let us know topics that are maybe really important questions you have or something that you've been wanting to hear from. We have 3 experts here who are willing to help you and really fuel and make your training really work for you. So we hope that that works out perfectly for you guys. Email us your questions and we will definitely do this again. So thanks for hopping on, friends. And we can go ahead and log off.